And Mehmet Ogutcu, the chairman of the London Energy Club, joins us now live from London. Hi there. Thanks so much for speaking to us. You know, the political dynamics of this agreement are really intriguing, if I can put it that way. You know, the global power dynamics are heavily based on oil. President Trump knows that. Now, he's been arguing, saying this 10 million barrel a day cut is actually closer to 20 million. First, explain why this discrepancy and why it's so important to Trump to get more, and to the United States really, to get more of a cut out of this deal.
Well, I mean, U.S. has realized that without its intervention, Saudi Arabia and Russia will not stop their price and market share warfare. And they both explain clearly that they will go ahead with this. However, this was a lost situation for everybody because the prices were already low. If it goes below $20, that was a real risk of that, it was going to wipe out the whole oil industry, both in OPEC countries and non-OPEC countries like the United States. Therefore, Russia. Therefore, U.S. has brokered this deal between the two powers. Although the deal is a historic one, cutting 9.7 million barrels per day, this has never happened before, it wasn't enough because the demand destruction is much higher than this. IEA is talking about 20 million barrels per day, but I will go further beyond that. It is at least 35% demand destruction we witness in this situation. So with this cut, around 10 million barrels, 10% of the world consumption of 100 million per barrel, and it is not enough. The market has not bought this. However, it has brought a base level from which there will be new negotiations because we are expecting Saudi Arabia and some of the Gulf Emirates to make voluntary cuts, bringing it up to 12.5 million barrels. And the US production will also decline because of pandemic, as well as the, of course, slowdown in economic activity. And we are also expecting countries like Canada, Norway to come forward with greater cuts. I'm not sure if it will go all the way up to 20 million barrels, because for most countries, this is critical. Look at Mexico. They asked Mexico to cut back seriously their production, but they were able to do it only for 100,000 barrels. US had to step in, and in return, they will get something probably in the future, they are going to make a cut of 250,000 barrels on behalf of Mexico. So I think in the days ahead, we will see the market will not stabilize yet. The price will not go up, and we will see further wipeout of values in stock and equities of oil and gas companies. But this deal is for 2 months, for 10 million, and then it will be, of course, extended. Overall, a 2-year period was given for this deal to work. And I'm sure that the G20, OPEC, non-OPEC countries will meet again, not in the far distant future, quite soon, to see how they can still make sure that the market will be stabilized and the prices will go up enough at least to meet the production cost. For Trump, this is of critical importance because, as you know, from the day one he came to power, his claim was for a global energy dominance. So in every decision, whether about the production, share, or price, and US has to be on the loop. And the reason why Russia and Saudi Arabia have not agreed in the first place was Russian insistence that US should come to the table because it is the world's largest crude producer right now. Without US also making cuts, and no viable deal could work. So therefore, there is a win-win interest for US, Russia, Saudi Arabia working together. Otherwise, their oil industry will be in red for a long time to come. That's not a good news.
Yeah. I mean, it is fascinating because the United States is not an OPEC member, even though it has a massive, massive stake in the oil markets, both on the consumer side and on the production side. So help me understand better. I mean, the U.S. can win and lose at the same time. I mean, if the oil gets too expensive, U.S. consumers suffer and U.S. Manufacturing can suffer. But because the U.S. produces so much shale oil, which is very expensive to produce, they need those higher oil prices to justify the cost of extraction.
Yes, I think it's a two-edged razor here, because also don't forget that we are coming closer to the date for U.S. presidential election in November. And Trump has to deliver also not so expensive gasoline prices for his voters. But on the other hand, if he doesn't do anything, either through a rescue package or through raising the prices, the U.S. shale producers will collapse. They are already financially so much depressed. They cannot continue. This is not a good news for the long-term future of U.S. oil industry. So from the Trump point of view, on the one hand, as a major consuming nation and also delivering cheaper gasoline prices to his voters, the price is good to come down. But on the other hand, for shale producers, as well as the stability in world energy markets, the price has to come to a manageable level, which many people think that it should be around $40, $45. But it is going to take long time for us to reach this price level, unfortunately. And I will not discount also the fact that the market share warfare will not stop. US will try to get as much greater market share from Saudi Arabia and Russia as possible. But this is tomorrow's perhaps job to do. Right now, the issue is how to stabilize the world energy market so that our IOCs will not be wiped out from the system, and so that the industry will continue to survive. And also this pandemic, which is destroying our national economies as well as the global economy in many ways. And we have to think how to prepare for the day after, when life will get normalized. Until then, I think we need to keep our oil industry floating and alive. I think that's one of the major objectives of Trump and other major leaders in terms of this price and market share deal that they have signed.
Okay.
And G20, I believe, will keep a very close eye on how we go forward in the future. And I think everybody now understands that it has to be a win-win proposition rather than zero-sum game.
Okay. Mehmet Ogutcu, thank you so much for joining us there from London. We greatly appreciate it.